So today we're going to talk about some things that are going on with the market, specifically the market in Yorkshire Downs and York County. I'm going to start out with just an overview of what's going on, and then we're going to go into detail about different property types. With a year-to-date perspective. So when we look at the peninsula as a whole, the median sales price is now up to $300,000. Last year, it was much lower. It was under 200. It was in the 200K, I mean. And compared to last year in March, it's up 6%. You can decide for yourself if you think, home prices really did go up that much, or if some essential factor like new construction or something else affected these home prices. Year to date, on the peninsula, we've had about 402 settled sales, and 17 days is the median days on market. People are offering pretty much 99.9% of list price. So if you list a house for sale, you can pretty much expect for it to close at list price. What we have right now is about 568 new listings, and active inventory is 676. If all the homes sold right now, we would only have about 1.7 month supply of inventory. This is for the Virginia Peninsula. And why I wanted to talk about this first is because York County is one of those counties that people commute from one area to another. Because we are next to Hampton, we are next to Newport News and Williamsburg, Gloucester. Some people might even commute all as far as, Suffolk and Smithfield. But for the most part, we are like a very small part of York County that leaves the area usually. And it's definitely, worth exploring if you have thought about moving to Hampton Roads. So when we look at specifically York County, the home prices are selling for slightly more than 300K. We're at 435 as the median sales price, and this is up 6% compared to last year in March, and 8% compared to February. So what that tells you right off the bat is that February saw a huge increase in demand. Buyers are looking and they're ready. And a lot of sellers actually are buyers, and they are just waiting for the right home to come on the market so that they can transition to the house in the same neighborhood or a house in a very similar neighborhood. And so far we have about 50 settled sales, and the median days on market is what I would want you to pay attention to, and that is 4 days. I mean, it's very rare, I think, that you can have, enough exposure unless you really employ a marketing plan that takes over and really markets to all the agents and all the buyers who are qualified. So a median days of 4 days on market is about 66% lower than it was last year. And that's a huge, huge decrease. And that means people and buyers particularly are so ready to buy that if you don't have an offer in about 4 days, you might not be priced where you should be priced. And the median sold price per square footage is about 200. So we're a little bit higher than last year, only about 3% higher. With 99 new listings, I would say if every home sold for what it was asking, very, very reasonably, and most homes sell between 7 days and 30 days. 2 months supply of inventory might be what we have going on in York County. And this is for all property types. If you're looking for something that is detached though, I would say 485 483, 480 is where we're seeing as the median sales price in York County. Um, and this is simply because, number one, we have a lot of new construction. And this new construction is impacting what existing builds are selling for. So we've had about 32 sales for detached homes, and they sold in about 6 days. So if you're not able to write an offer within the first few weeks, I mean, most homes take about 30 days to sell. And they might be receiving that offer within the first day or the first week, depending on how aggressively you want to take on the market, and as well as, if they are in a rush. We see that people tend to list properties and wait when they list in the winter months. But when we move closer to spring, that's when we see buyers and sellers who are willing to take an offer and then move out relatively quickly compared to if they had sold in the winter months around the holidays. The median sales price is about $201 per square foot, and active inventory is about 2.2 months supply. I would say if you were trying to save up to buy a single family home in your county, definitely try and qualify for anywhere from 450 to 500K to have some options out there. But if you wanted to, really expand, depending on the zip code, look at the zip code specifically. And I'm going to dive into the zip code further, because when we look at the whole county, you definitely see, a broader number, but the zip code might be kind of what you're looking for, or the specific neighborhood. Definitely look at the selling price and the offer price and even rentals to see if it might be worth it to invest in a property in that area. So, before we go too deep into this, I want to talk about the price of homes as a kind of market snapshot and where they're going. So, there are a lot of different sources you can go to for these home prices. If you want to go to realtor.com, if you want to go to many different places like Zillow or Truilla, they have their data. But what I use as a realtor is RPR. And RPR compiles data of things that sold off market and on market. So these are things that sold on the MLS, and they had agent representation, as well as things that sold for sale by owner. And it's a free service only available to realtors. So I'm going to go through a couple things that they mentioned that I think might be worth it, whether or not you're deciding to buy an investment property or buy a property to live in York County. With this analysis, I had to put some parameters in, and some of these parameters were how many properties I want to look at. Overall, I would say the median home price has gone up in your county, and that's a good thing for anybody who wants to live there, because even though it makes it a little bit harder to afford a property there, it does mean that you'll get more equity by investing. So in the last 15 months, and even in the last 24 months, we've seen a lot of shifts in terms of interest rates, taxes, insurance, all across the country. And so when you look at market snapshots, sometimes you might compare the 1 month to 3 months, to the 12 month, and the 24 month. I'm going to show you kind of what those numbers have been and what you kind of can expect as the average or the median. And the median, if you don't remember this, is just, when you take all the numbers and you put them lowest to highest and you pick the middle number. So when we go to the last 24 months, which I think is a nice picture of growth, especially for people who want to buy a property that they hope appreciates. And we've seen about 15.69% increase in home prices. And this is the home value of every home. So the median home value for your county is about $466, and that price, it's close to what we are seeing for the median average for the whole county, but it it's reasonable for what some people might consider, but for some people it might be too much. So definitely look at the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the HOA fees, because when you come to your county, you might be surprised to see how many properties are HOA or condo association, um, and they have their own fees that impact your ability to afford the home when you talk to your lender. Over the last 36 months, though, we've seen an increase of about 29.45% in home values in York County and Yorktown specifically. I would say this is a lot of growth, and some people might wonder where this growth came from. So, a big contributing factor to growth whenever you live in any area, even if it's Virginia or another state, is new construction. When you see new construction, those prices are based off the home being a better age, a better condition, and sometimes a better location, or with more amenities. And I would say that clearly you'd pay more for a better value, right? So what we've seen is that there has been a lot of new construction specifically in York County compared to other cities in the area. And this has caused an increase in insurance and taxes for York County residents. I would say that if you plan to stay in the area, and it's totally up to you, definitely look at what has happened in the specific neighborhood that I want to buy in, and also what are possible deals that could be in that neighborhood, because I work with investors and people of all buying criteria. So what we've seen in your county specifically is that there have been about 9 people who have distressed properties, and these are properties that could be value add properties for the right investor. And so if you think 9 is enough, I don't know, but for most people, when you know that the number is less than average, one, it tells you the area in general is doing better than most, because when you have less than 10 properties that are distressed, it tells you that most people in the area are doing financially well enough to keep up with their mortgage, and they don't really want to let their property go and be foreclosed on. So if you wanted to buy a property in the area, 9 foreclosures tells you that there's not many foreclosures in general. So if you do have a foreclosure in front of you, either write an offer that is very competitive and is either best and highest, or write an offer that is going to justify what the average market trends are, because you can tell that the area doesn't have a lot of something. That means there's going to be high demand once it's available and it's not distressed, because most people in your county want to buy a property that's either move-in ready or turnkey or doesn't need too much renovation in general. So over the last 12 months, what have we seen for actual sale price? Sale price has been about $398. I told you before that the median home price, that their home value is $466, and the median list price is $475. Does this mean homes are selling for less than what they're asking? No, not necessarily. Actually, homes like before are selling about 100% of asking price. And in the last 12 months, all of the properties listed have seen an increase of about 12%, 11.91 specifically. But to be clear, 13% increase in sale price and 11% increase in list price indicate that this is an area where you can expect a lot of appreciation if you were to buy a property, especially over the course of a 2-year span. If you were to look at just the 12-month growth period, we've seen 10.42% increase and 11.2 roughly for the list price in your county specifically. And what I want to also emphasize is that there is a range. So when you look at properties, definitely look at the zip code and the neighborhood, because that can tell you whether or not it is a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a balanced market. And because we see so few distressed properties, again, I would say definitely look at what kind of buyer you want to be. So if you want to buy a property that you can add value to, this is an area to do it. I mean, I would say based off of the prices that we're seeing and the growth, as well as just the range in general, you would have a good opportunity to sell for much more than most people would if you can get a great deal on the property. So when I look at the new listings, and we're going to look at this together. So the new listings right now are, the lowest one we have here is 189,900. And this listing, it is the cheapest one that is new. It's not under contract yet, and it hasn't closed, and it's not distressed either. So if you wanted to buy a property in York County, and York County sometimes extends into Lackey, into Williamsburg, and into Newport News, if you look at Zillow, but in general, most people want to buy something that is based off either a school district or a certain city, based off of the taxes and other benefits. So when we look at York County, when it comes to just new listings, and these are just the 50 most, prominent new listings out there, the median sales price for these is $445,500, and the highest is $1.35 million. Does this mean your house could possibly sell for that much? Maybe. So if you were to buy a distressed property, and let me look at the distressed properties with you as well. So the distressed properties, we've had about 8 of them right now, and the lowest distressed property in York County sold for $210,740, and its value, the value of distressed properties tend to range from 210, anywhere from 210 to about 762 if they are distressed. If they close and they are actually turnkey, we're seeing about 1.25 million as the highest sale so far in your county. Doesn't mean we can't break a record together, of course, if you were to update your property to be a certain level of caliber for attracting buyers that are willing to pay a premium. We can discuss that in more detail, but my goal here is just to give you the insight that properties in your county, if they are updated well and they have enough exposure, they definitely can close for over $1 million. And you might be thinking to yourself, what, your county? Well, in Virginia Beach, that's an area that is more likely, on average, to see properties sell for over $1 million. But I want to let you know that if you have the right property, the right square footage, the right lot size, it is definitely possible to buy, sell, or invest in a property that is well over $1 million and get that equity and really, jumpstart your life and retire comfortably because you found something that was a hidden gem. And on the topic of your county, I want to talk briefly about this area that I have a buyer who's looking for a property in, and she's looking for a condo specifically. And this area is called Yorkshire Downs. So Yorkshire Downs is one of the property communities, that I believe is significantly missed, if that's a better word to say. So in York County, we have variety. We have properties that are new construction. We have subdivisions that really have the best of both worlds. Some of them have condos, some of them have townhomes, some of them have single family. And what this adds when the developer develops something like this is flexibility. So when the new homeowners come in, and they can come in knowing that if I can afford this much, I can still live here. And this is key actually for pricing properties to sell and also have demand to get enough showings. So when you price a property to be competitive, you have more activity. And what I want to emphasize with your county, and specifically Yorkshire Downs, is that they have a community that has a section that is single family, and then townhomes, and then condos. So with the single family homes, they are listed well under 200K and also well under 200 per month as an HOA. So when we look at just the condos in that area, those tend to range from about 197 to about 213,500 as what they sold for in the last 6 months. Is this what your condo could sell for if you live in Yorkshire Downs? I'm not going to promise anything, but the median price is 210 and the average is 207. If you were to list your property and it was dated, because what we have here in Yorkshire Downs is properties that either were updated or stayed the same since the 80s or early 90s. And this is not uncommon for your county because what we have is properties that were built by builders who had the intention of building a community where a lot of people could possibly rent or buy and then eventually upgrade to the next home when they are financially capable. So with Yorkshire Downs condos, we have them ranging, between 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms, and some of them have a half bath, but no garages. You have your one parking space, and the square footage is somewhere between, 1,200 square feet and maybe 1,500 square feet. Usually like 1,400 square feet is the max. But what you do have is a condo association that takes care of everything for you. And that can be very nice for a certain type of buyer. However, you have the flexibility of moving into a townhome. And we actually had a townhome hit the market very recently, 501 Arabian Circle. They're only asking $262,500 for 1,400 square feet with a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. So that's probably what you might have with your condo, but you might have 2 parking spaces instead of 1, 2 living levels. And this flexibility also comes with the fact that they updated the townhome. So you get really the best of both worlds because you have a neighborhood that you can stay in and a turnkey townhome that is newer because it is a newer build and was updated. So when we look at just the prices of townhomes in your county, I might be, if I was looking at your county and Yorkshire Downs specifically for a long time, I might look at Yorkshire Downs and be like, what happened here? Because what we had happen, and this is kind of like surprising for me because I watch your county all the time. They listed their property for $262,500, and this is updated. But I didn't realize that this property was priced because it was priced in a way that would attract buyers who were looking for 2 bedrooms. Because when we look at just the 3 bedroom properties here, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, one of them is a half, so 2.5 is what we're seeing for Yorkshire Downs condos. They are built anywhere from 1989 to 1990 in the last 6 months, and they are selling, within 30 days. This property has been on the market for 6 days, and it is only 2 bedrooms. So when you look at this property and you'll see, the number, the square footage, you might be like, why is it priced so cheaply? It's because all the historic sales have been with a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath. And I would say that, having the square footage between 1,300 and 1,500 isn't too far of a difference for the actual price of this home, which is $262,500 for 1,480 square feet. And if you wanted to buy this house, I would say you might be inclined to write an offer right around list price because on average, homes are selling for $271 and they're only asking $262. If you wanted to write an offer, definitely consider going to the house and taking a look at it. The median sales price for townhomes in Yorkshire Downs is about $277,500. We're seeing, some growth, and this really just depends again on whether or not you're willing to update the dated features of your townhome in order to attract the buyers necessary to write an offer on your house. And this brings me to the topic of the single family homes and the condos. So the condos themselves are selling for between $150 and at the max $213,500 so far. Will this increase? That's up to you, and that's up to also the buyer demand that you're able to generate, whether or not you list with an agent or list with somebody who will make it their goal to, get as many offers as possible. But with the condos in Yorkshire Downs, we've seen that 132 days on market is the longest anything has ever sat. And this was unusual. I wouldn't bring it up unless I thought it was significant. And I think this one, it sold for 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It sold for um, for less than 200K at 195. But what it did do in those 132 days, I'm sure, was attract a lot of buyers. Because it was listed in April and sold on the 18th, maybe that might have contributed to why not as many people offered that much above asking. It was originally asking 198. After 130 days, they offered and accepted an offer for 195. If you wanted to take something, to the level where you can offer less than asking price, you can only really do it on properties that sit on the market. Properties that sell quickly, though, or less than average, usually are priced correctly and they are priced to sell. This one, we don't know what happened with it, but I can tell you that with the average price point going up as we approach year to date, April 2024, home prices have done nothing but go up. In April, we have nothing for sale right now. And I think if something did go up for sale, somebody would definitely write an offer very quickly, because I actually also have a client who's interested in writing an offer on a house that comes up for sale in the condo area of Yorkshire Downs. If you are a buyer and you're trying to save money on, anything at all, definitely consider the days on market, the median sales price, and the average. As a whole, Yorkshire Downs is seeing the maximum selling price as $550. You might think that's a little high considering we have condos and townhomes. But again, break that down, decide, because lenders offer different services depending on the type of property you want to buy. So if you want to buy a condo, you would qualify for a different amount than if you wanted to buy a single family or if you want to buy a townhome. The lowest we're seeing here is 150, and that was a very rare sale. It sold, in one day alone. And I don't know if you want to sell or expect any seller to accept an offer on the first day that is under asking. Like the seller accepted 150 when they were originally asking 197.5, 900, and that is unusual. So for the seller's market, that I think, based off my interpretation of the data, you might want to save anywhere from 200K to maybe on average like 320, just to be competitive. And when, if you were to come across a multiple offer situation, I think this would really help you have the leverage needed to make an offer that the seller would not consider offensive. I mean, it's obviously up to you what you want to offer in terms of other contributions to the seller, because some sellers are even getting closing costs offered by certain buyers. And you may decide that is an route you want to go down. You want to try and get, multiple offers and your closing costs paid for. However, if your home has the criteria of value add amenities, like this area in Yorkshire Downs, where we have one person who listed their single family home, with a full generator, and part of it has been updated, part of it has not. You have anyone who is a buyer would have the flexibility of buying that property and increasing their equity simply by making those updates. You as a owner, if you are an owner in Yorkshire Downs, you don't have to update your property in order to get the most amount of money possible out of it, but you would have to consider the demand and the supply and what people are looking for. So I think it would definitely benefit you for you to benefit in a meeting with somebody who does not look at just home prices, but also look at the cost of ownership, look at investments, look at rentals, and look at um, return with appreciation, and just get a grasp on what's going on in the market and if you should sell or buy or rent it out. That's up to you, but ultimately, as long as you have the information necessary, that kind of helps people make a decision about whether or not it's the right time to buy or sell.